Hi everybody, Pam here. So this video is going to be a bit different. When I first started on YouTube, I started looking for videos just on how to apply makeup because I never really knew how. I never really played with makeup, wasn't allowed to play with makeup. And I was always intrigued by it. I loved how it made women beautiful, and it seemed to give them a little bit of confidence, and it just I loved it. I loved the colors and the concepts and how you can make your eyes a different shape and all that good stuff. Well, anyway, I also started on YouTube because I'm a huge thrifter and yard sailor. I love it. Love clothes, love fashion, just don't want to spend a ton of money on it. Well, anyway, I came across this one channel. It was called 5Js Makes Us 5. And I really liked how the stuff that she was thrifting and everything. And when I like a channel, I like to watch every single one of their videos. I will go back and start from the very first video and work my way up to the present day because I want to, because I feel like if you start with them now and you don't see what they were like in the beginning and you learn about them and things like that. But anyway, I came across this one video of hers, Jenny's videos, and it was called Domestic Abuse, My Story. Well, I wouldn't watch that video. It was the only video of hers I wouldn't watch. I didn't want to see myself. Let's put it that way. I wasn't sure what her story was or anything like that. It's just that the words domestic abuse, domestic violence, them words scare me. Just because I don't want to relive it. So I think it was last week, I finally mustered up enough courage to watch her video. And I was bawling right along with her in that video. I was in that closet with her, bawling right along with her. Because a lot of things she said hit home with me. My story is that when I was 14, I started dating a guy in high school, and when you're in high school, you fall in love and blah 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 blah. Well, ended up getting me pregnant, and I was 16. Well, he ended up leaving me, I guess you would say. 16 and pregnant. I was pretty much by myself because my mom didn't want anything to do with it. So I was out on my own at 16. Had the baby, had a beautiful little baby boy. And he ended up getting married to my best friend and had a baby with her. So my oldest son and his sister are only 7 months apart. Well, I didn't grow up in a very loving family, so I didn't have the best self-esteem myself. So when he told me he loved me, I believed him wholeheartedly, because I didn't hear them words a lot when I was growing up. I didn't hear, I heard I love you, but it was never felt sincere. I always felt like I was a nuisance, the thing my mom had to deal with. But anyway, so when he told me he loved me, I wholeheartedly believed in it. So yeah, well, I ended up getting pregnant. He left me. got my best friend pregnant. 7 months later, they had a girl. They got married. I was left to raise my son by myself. Well, when my oldest son was about 4, he come back sniffing around, and I took him back mainly because I always had the fantasy of mommy, daddy, baby. You know, I never had it. My mom was married 7 times, so I never really had the mama, baby, daddy thing, and that's one thing I wanted. And when I was little, I would always tell myself, when I get married, I'm staying married. I'm never putting my kids through a divorce, and I'm never I don't want my kids to get attached to somebody and then they leave. And so anyway, he came sniffing back around. I took him back, and by this time he was an alcoholic. I was about 19, 20 when he came back around. And started dating him again. Actually left this really wonderful guy to be with him. Dumb. But hindsight's 20/20, right? Live and learn. Love and learn. Whatever they say. But anyway, he started calling me names. It started out like he would call me stupid, or he would call me lazy, or he would say just, stupid stuff. And then he would ask me where I've been all day. Who have I been with? And at first I thought that, that he was like jealous, so he like loved me. You know what I mean? I don't know. When you think of it now, it's like so stupid how you could think that way, but I did. I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Well, then it got to the point, I remember the very first time he hit me. We were at his mother's house, and he had said something, called me a name or something. Well, I decided, you know what, I don't need this. So I picked up my baby, and I was leaving. I walked out the door. He chased after me, and in the middle of the street, I said something about, I don't need this, I'm leaving, blah, blah, blah. Well, he smacked me right across the face and told me to wake up and smell the coffee, that I was lucky to have him. And that's how it all started. It's such a blur now, because this all happened back in 1987. Anyway, got to the point where he kept me from my family. I had no friends. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I was timed in the shower. I could only take a certain amount of time in the shower, otherwise I was getting ready for another man, and it was that I was a slut and deserved to be beat. I believed that I was ugly, I was fat, I was worthless. I believed that I was lucky to have him. I believed it. I was never allowed to go shopping by myself. I was never allowed to check the mail. If he would leave, he would put a line like in the dirt behind the car tires so that he knew if it was moved or not. I was never allowed to talk to my mom or my dad without him there. I was beaten for the stupidest things. I was beaten one time because I didn't make the correct supper. That's not what he wanted. I was raped numerous times. I was threatened with a knife. I was I was held at gunpoint at one time and was told, how does it feel to have 5 minutes to live? I did call the cops on him that time and did leave. He had actually shot into the floor of our home. We lived in a trailer, mobile home at the time, and he shot the shotgun into the floor, told me, how does it feel to have 5 minutes to live when I'm going to reload, and then it's going in your head. When he was going out of the room, I picked up the phone and I put it off the hook and called 911 because he would have shot me. He would have killed me. But here's the thing. I left him, but I went back. I had 3 kids by this time. No income, no education, nowhere to go because he kept me from my family. I went back. I know, dumb. But the last straw for me is when he started on my kids. When he started threatening my kids. He actually took my oldest son's head one time. And because my son said, ooh, I don't like fish, he took my son's head and just went BAM! Right into the plate. That was it. I was done. You can beat me all you want, but don't touch my children. Don't touch my babies. So anyway, I left and went to a women's shelter. Excuse me. I went to a women's shelter. I got the help that I needed. Kind of. The victim's advocate had told me about getting a restraining order. Well, the town that I lived in borders on a state, on the Michigan and Wisconsin state. And the women's shelter was in Wisconsin. So I had to go to Michigan because that's where we lived to get the restraining order. Well, if I had lived in Wisconsin, the victim's advocate from the domestic violence shelter could have gone to the courthouse in my, whatever you want to call it, with me and helped me to get it. But because I lived in Michigan, I had to go by myself. So I went over to the courthouse and I had to take all 3 of my kids. And they were 11, 6, and 5 at the time, or 6 and 5 at the time. 11, 6, and 5. Well, while I was at the courthouse, I went to the courthouse, went to the clerk's office, filled out the paperwork, and while I was in there, the lady says to me, as I filled out my name, she goes, "Oh, you're Pam. Your husband's looking for you." And I was like, "What?" "Oh yeah, he called here and I told him that time you were going to be here." Because I had to call and make the appointment to fill out the paperwork. So I panicked. Went out the door because my kids were sitting on a bench. Went out the door And I said, well, can I get the restraining order? She goes, well, you have to have a judge sign that, and he's in Iron Mountain. So you have to call, get an appointment with him. Maybe he can sign it, like, there and have it filed there. So she's like, here's the number. Payphone's downstairs. So I panicked. I was like, okay, I gotta hurry up, get this done. Went down, grabbed my kids, went downstairs, and down in the basement where the payphone was, they didn't have cell phones then, where the payphone was like candy machines and pop machines, tables. So my oldest son was playing with my younger sons and running around a table while I was making the phone call. And as I'm making the phone call, here comes my ex-husband down the steps. I panicked again. Tried to grab my kids as quick as I possibly could and get out the door, because there was a door, like, right there. Well, as I was doing this, he grabbed me by the back of my head and proceeded to beat the living hell right out of me, right in the courthouse. And then, somehow, I don't know how I did it, I got my kids out and got them into my car. And to be honest with you, to this day, I don't remember exactly how it all happened. I got him into my car, and I was trying to get away. My oldest son unlocked the door for my ex-husband. He got in, pushed me out as he was beating me, and then proceeded to take off with my kids. And I was standing in front of the car. In the parking lot, I'm standing in front of the car saying, just give me my babies, just give me my babies. And he come barreling at me. Luckily, there was like a health department next door, and some lady in this health department seen what was going on. And perfect timing, because as he's barreling at me, she grabs me and pulls me out of the way. And now the cops are coming. They were up in the district attorney's office in the courthouse. Took off after him. Well, anyway, he ended up getting away, and they had an APB out on him, all kinds of things. I actually went and stayed with my mom, because my mom at the time was single and lived near me. I had to have police escort. I had to go get some stuff because I had nothing at all. I had to go get some stuff, so my mom and a police officer took me to my apartment that I shared with my ex-husband and my kids. And this is in the middle of December in Upper Michigan, Wisconsin. I happened to turn off the furnace. I don't know why. I have no clue why. It was like December 12th, and I turned the furnace off when I got stuff and left. Well, that evening, I'm sound asleep. My mom wakes me up and says, the chief of police is on the phone for you. And I thought, thank God they found my kids. I was a freaking basket case. They had to give me a sleeping pill just to get me to go to sleep. So I get on the phone with him, and he's like, he's on the phone, wants to talk to you. We're sending a squad to come get you. Alright, so I get to the police station. The SWAT team's there. I was like, what the heck? I was waiting for somebody to tell me my kids were dead, because they had the SWAT team there. They had a negotiator there. They had social services there. they had counselors there, I was braced for somebody to tell me my kids were dead. So I get into the police station, and the chief of police brings me into his office, and he says, he's calling. He's got the kids held hostage in your apartment. He's poured gasoline all over, and he's threatened to blow up the place if anybody comes near him until he talks to you. So they make me get on the phone with him and tell him everything's going to be okay. Life is going to be good. We'll get through this. Blah, blah, blah. Just let the kids go. Well, I finally, after 7 hours, they let the kids go. He let the kids go one by one. The oldest one was the last one out. He made arrangements with the negotiator that I had to be in the squad car when he got out, and that I had to ride to the police station with him, and that he got to talk to me before they took him into custody, whatever that's called. I have no clue. So anyway, long story short, my kids are okay. I divorced him. While he was being arraigned for everything, though, I get this, he was charged with aggravated assault and arson and intent to do bodily harm and obstruction of justice or something or another. He was being arraigned in the courthouse, the same courthouse where he beat me up and kidnapped the kids. As he's being arraigned, with a room full of police officers on the 3rd floor of the courthouse, he runs across the courtroom through the judge's chambers and dives out the window. 3 stories up. Fucker didn't die. He did not die. He broke his back, broke his neck, and then I was court ordered to go to the hospital and sign consent papers for him to have surgery. Yeah, that's the kicker. I should have. Anyway, so long story short, I am now remarried to the most beautiful, wonderful, awesome man ever that I'd ever thought even existed, that I most certainly don't deserve. He tells me I do, though. My kids are grown. I have 3 boys. They're awesome. Most loving, wonderful kids I could ever ask for. And we're doing good. But the point of this video that I wanted to get across to people is, don't ever let a man, anybody, tell you that you're dirt. Because God gave you a beating heart. He gave you a soul. Don't waste it on some man that just wants to beat you. You deserve better. Don't believe that you're not beautiful. Don't believe that you are lucky to have them. Because they are lucky to have you. Don't be afraid to walk out. The hardest thing to do, and the hardest thing I ever had to do, was take that first step. It wasn't easy. But every step after that got easier and easier. You can do it. If I can do it, You can do it. That's my story. So, thanks for sharing. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. Putting it out there. And I just want to say to Jenny, thank you for inspiring me to have the courage to tell my story. Thanks.